This is a dark day for truth and justice. The ICC prosecutor has apparently decided not to dismiss outright the Palestinian claim against the State of Israel. This is a baseless and outrageous decision. The court has no jurisdiction in this case. The ICC only has jurisdiction over petitions submitted by sovereign states, but there has never been a Palestinian state. The ICC prosecutor's decision has turned the International Criminal Court into a political tool to delegitimize the State of Israel. The prosecutor has completely ignored the legal arguments we presented to her. She has also completely ignored history and truth when she says that the very act of Jews living in their ancestral homeland, the land of the Bible, that this is a war crime. We will not be silent. We will not bow our heads before this outrage. We'll continue to speak out against this travesty of justice.
Will the Palestinians win? I think personally, no. I think on these technical points of law, I reluctantly have to say their case is weak. Now you might wonder, what does that mean? I'll try to put to you in like 3 sentences to try to make, as I said, a voluminous court record accessible to the layperson. The way the International Criminal Court works is a state says, we delegate to you responsibility for adjudicating international war crimes, crimes against humanity. So if Canada belonged to the International Criminal Court and a war crime occurs on Canadian soil, let's say the United States fires a rocket at Montreal, Canada says, we join the International Criminal Court and we give you, meaning the International Criminal Court, we give you authority to decide the criminal issue. We won't do it. We'll let you decide who is criminally responsible, or is the US criminally responsible for its act. We'll let you decide. We are going to delegate to you criminal jurisdiction over war crimes. And states do that one by one. United States doesn't belong to the International Criminal Court. It doesn't delegate to the court responsibility for war crimes. Israel doesn't belong to the International Criminal Court. It doesn't delegate responsibility to the ICC. Now, it's done state by state. And the big question is Palestine a state? Because only states can delegate that responsibility. Let's say you or your block or your city, you're from Montreal. Montreal can't delegate responsibility to the court. Only Canada can. It's a state-based court. And what I referred to earlier as the technical point is both sides are fighting over whether or not Palestine qualifies as a state. And having read through the record carefully, I have to say the Palestine case on that point is not as strong as one would hope. Now, I think there are ways to argue the case such that the Palestinians could win it, but it was not the approach taken by the lawyers for Palestine. I have a difference of opinion. It's an opinion. People are allowed to agree to disagree, even with friends and comrades. There's a difference. I have a difference of opinion with the lawyers about how the case should have been approached. And the way it has been approached, I am skeptical it can overcome the resistance of Israel's lawyers. Now, believe me when I say that a dizzying array of Israel's lawyers from around the world, the top and most respected lawyers who happen to be Jewish, and they don't want the Jewish state to be criminally indicted by the ICC. And so you have this phalanx of Jewish lawyers, very prominent from around the world, supporting Israel. And to overcome that resistance, I think it required a different legal strategy. Right now, I'm a skeptic that it's going to overcome the resistance. The so-called decision, it's a curious one because everybody's reading it in terms of Israel's decision to go ahead with annexation in July. But I think there are two things going on. If you read what's going on at the ICC, one of the claims of Israel's defenders has been that Israel and the Palestinian Authority decided to resolve this conflict via the Oslo Accords. And under the Oslo Accords, if you read them line by line, under the Oslo Accords, Israel controls Area C, one of the three areas of the West Bank. It's called Area C. It's about 60% of the West Bank. Under the Oslo Accords, Israel controls Jerusalem. That was what was agreed to. Under the Oslo Accords, Palestinians are not allowed to capture or prosecute Israelis in the West Bank. So when an Israeli settler commits a crime, jurisdiction for the crime is by Israel. A Palestinian cannot arrest and prosecute an Israeli. So the defenders of Israel say the Oslo Accords say that Palestinians have no criminal jurisdiction over Israelis. That's what the Accords say. Palestinians have no criminal jurisdiction over Israelis. So Israeli settlers say, the Israelis' defenders say, how can the state of Palestine claim that it's giving jurisdiction to the ICC to prosecute Israeli crimes in the West Bank if under the Oslo Accords, Palestinians have no rights over Israeli crimes? They gave criminal jurisdiction to Israel. And the defenders keep saying the Oslo Accords are still operative. The Palestinians did not renounce the Oslo Accords. So that's still the law so far as the West Bank is concerned. I think, judging from your face, you kind of know where I'm going. So one of the reasons Abbas renounced the Oslo Accords is because it will give an opening for the Palestinians to say the Accords are dead, and therefore Israel no longer has criminal jurisdiction over its nationals in the West Bank. The Accords are dead. So the ICC can prosecute Israel now for crimes in the West Bank because there's no Oslo Accords anymore. I know it sounds a little complicated, but I think you get the general idea. And I think that's one of the reasons he renounced the Accords, because his legal advisors told him. I should point out, when I said earlier, it's going on exactly as we speak, I mean that literally. The key decision by the ICC will be made probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And whether they're going to proceed or not, whether they're going to accept that Palestine is a state or say Palestine is not a state. And so I think Abbas's legal advisors told him, you have no chance in the ICC unless you renounce the Oslo Accords. Because in the Oslo Accords, you agreed that Israel has all criminal jurisdiction over Israeli crimes in the West Bank.